Okay, guys, this is Raythe here, and I am answering some of the questions from the Ask Raythe Anything that we did a couple weeks ago. And I'm really excited to see what you guys are interested in hearing about me, my writing, the site. But I actually divided them up, and these first ones are sort of more aimed at writing today. So I'm going to do 5 of them, and hopefully I won't bore you. That's the goal anyway. Do you need complete silence to write, or do you like background noise, i.e. music at a coffee shop, TV, etc.? I actually like fireplaces on television. Yeah, I know. I don't have a real wood-burning fireplace anymore. I live in a condo, and I miss them so much. But there is nothing that puts me in the mood to write more than a crackling fire and being underneath a blanket and with the cat curled at my feet. Hopefully she's not biting my toes. So I absolutely love that. And when I'm writing, that's the best thing for me to have going on. Or when it's like summertime, and obviously I don't want the fireplace going, even though there's no heat, you feel it in your head anyway. I really enjoy listening to some of the cool ambient channels on YouTube. Again, those keep me in the zone and I'm able to really focus. But there are some times when I've gotten, for example, a new video game in and I simply can't stop playing it, but I want to write too, and I have to get the chapters out. So I've been known to write between bouts of playing these new video games. So I shoot a few guys in the head, then I write a kissing scene. So that's sort of, what I do. I try to make sure that when I'm writing, though, that I'm really zoned in on what I'm doing and I almost don't have any awareness of anything around me. How long on average does it take you to write a chapter? It depends on how many guys I'm shooting in the head. So if I'm playing a video game, it can take me quite a while because I will write for 20-minute increments in between 40-minute increments of playing. So I've had a chapter that took me 10 hours to write on a weekend. And that was I'm ashamed to say that, even though depending on how long it is, it really can take that long if it's a huge chapter. But if I'm in the flow and I'm really focused, it really takes me about 2.5, 3 hours for an average chapter on Raythe Rain. What inspiration do you pull from when you create a new story? Is it just one source for every idea or a few sources? So in every story, I think you guys probably recognize that there are a few definite things that it will have. It will likely have an older man and a younger man. And the older man will normally be immortal and he will be some kind of magical being an elf or a vampire or a witch or a demon. And we're always going to have a happy ever after, for the most part. And we're also going to have a lot of action. But really, the big ones are, of course, older man, younger man, magic, immortality, and happy ever after. So those are simply givens. Then I have a few subcategories of things I like to have in each story. And I consider them subgenres in a way. So we have vampire books, we have elf books, we have witch books, we have Yakuza Triad books, we have shifter books. So, I normally will then slot it into one of those, or if I want to choose a different kind of magical creature, I will, but those are my favorites so far. When I've gotten that done is when I actually start thinking of the type of characters I would want to inhabit. And that's not a misnomer. I actually do something I call method writing, where I'm in the point of view character's head. So I am living as Ulrich as I am writing him. I am living as Kieran when I'm writing him. So I get to be, an elven king, and I get to be a really awesome warrior. Things that I'm not in real life, obviously. But I always think of that as part of my thought process because, as you know, these stories go on for years sometimes, and you really got to love what you're writing. So then once I got the characters down and I think about what type of character are they? For example, when we have King Valerius in Dragon's Reign, we know that he is very uptight. Not in the way that Jordan is uptight, but in a way that he is very much order and method. And he has to be because he is the ruler. He is very old and he's not really fond of change. So when I thought of, basically Caden's character, he's not going to be anything like that. This kid's going to be a little ball of fire. He's going to be funny. He's going to be irreverent. He's going to be, not so much the opposite, but pretty much the opposite of hilarious. And that sets up already a complete conflict in and of itself. And that is really fun. And then I think about the world. And I ask those questions, that one big question, I should say, what if? In Dragon's Reign, it was, what if the world was ruled by shifters? And you just start answering questions underneath that, like what would happen to religions? What would happen to governments? How would people feel if they were just humans? What kind of prejudice would there be? And once you basically have that down, or I have that down, I normally will write it out in a blog post for you guys, and I'll ask you to pick at it. And needless to say, it's amazing the things that I don't think of. And it's always good to hear, honestly, where my blind spots are. Dragon's Reign, again, is a really good example of this. My first version of it was really a very dystopian type future. And you guys were like, no, we really don't want that kind of dystopian future. It's too depressing. Can you do something else? And that's what caused me to basically refine and come back to you with the current story that there is today, which is far better, but still gets to address the things I wanted to address without it being sort of gloomy. What made you decide to write a few chapters for multiple stories a month instead of just dedicating one solid month for one single story? And the answer is, truthfully, I would get bored. I would really, really get bored. I am so used to writing more than one story at a time that I just would not feel like it was very fun to stay in just two characters' heads. It's just not fun. But also, of course, people sign up of the site because of different stories they love. Now, I'm sure that you all have your favorites, right? And so if I were to suddenly change things to, we're just going to do Everdark for the entire month. Well, a lot of you would love it. A lot of you wouldn't, but it wouldn't be fair to those who wouldn't. They signed up for Sanctuary. They signed up for the Fell. So that's why it's always, we're always going to have different stories going on in the same month. Do you write the chapters in one go, or do you write them bit by bit over the days between the chapters? I think you guys have got to remember there's only one day between the chapters. So I admit, I do have Monday and Sunday, during the week where supposedly, I'm not writing, but I actually am writing, but that's normally for other things. The stories are written in one go. I go through them for an edit after the first pass of writing, and then literally the moment they're done, they're put up on the site for you to comment on. There is nothing in reserve, which is probably insane, but the truth is that it would go against what the site is really for in a way, which is you guys to give me input, and also for the story to grow and change from that input and from my own thought processes as we go forward, so that it's really fun. All right, so that's this week's answers to Ask Me Anything. There are so many more, and we'll be sure to put these up for you as we get them done. But thanks again for all your questions. If you have more, of course, put them in the comments, and I will happily respond there as well. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.